Hey folks, welcome back to a string of interviews we are doing around this year's St. Peter's Fiesta. I'm your host, Corey Kukru from Bridge Cape Ann and 1623 Studios, coming to you from the Streamography Studios here in downtown Gloucester. We are doing these interviews in concert with St. Peter's Fiesta Committee as we are promoting this year's event, and really want to inform locals and those on the outside looking in about what this fiesta means to Gloucester and how it's all put together. So really happy to have this conversation today with, this is easy on our graphics department now, but not easy for me to announce it, Al and Al Millefogli. Millefogli?
Millefogli.
Yeah, or Millefogli. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. So, because I'm a kookaroo, and whenever I speak to the real Italians with the accent from Italy, when they say kookaroo all the time. But here it's like, kookaroo, but no. So, yeah.
Not seen we've gone.
Well, thanks for being a part of this. We really appreciate it. And it's like I said, I really want to have this talk, learning more about what the Fiesta Committee goes through, what being a member entails, how this massive event gets put together, as now we're nearing its, I guess, the 100th year of Fiesta.
98 this year.
98 this year. There hasn't been 98 Fiestas, be World War II or
Right.
COVID and whatnot, but yeah, this is...
1927 was the first Fiesta, so we're in 2025, so in 2 more years will be the 100th.
Yeah. So I guess from the top, Al, it's do you know how the first Fiesta committees came about? Because they weren't part of the original Fiesta. It was sort of like things started to grow and evolve 1927, 1928, where it almost seemed like the fishermen's wives really wanted to have a procession of the statue. And then the Sainbow racing became sort of prominent at first. And was a committee formed after the fact? Like we wanted to put a bigger festival together or have it better organized?
No, what happened was back in it must have been 26, because in 27 was the first Fiesta. I guess some of the guys were out fishing on a boat and some real bad weather came in. The boat that they were on wasn't really that seaworthy, and they all got together because they didn't think they were going to make it. They would come home, see their family again. So they all got together, huddled together and said, St. Peter, if you enable us to go home and see our family again, we'll have a feast in your honor for saving us. And sure enough, they made it. They came home, and as soon as they got home, they commissioned a statue to be built in Charlestown. It was actually my grandfather's brother who commissioned that statue for Vaza. And he got it commissioned and had it sent to his house down the fort. And I had talked to Sarah, and Sarah had explained to me, she remembers the day when that crate arrived at their home at Fort Square, and they opened it up and they saw the statue in there. And they would say, oh my God, it's because they made it lifelike, sort of, and the wife of the guy who commissioned it, Salvatore, the wife says, how'd you buy that? Where'd you get the money for that? And the invoice was in the crate. So as soon as he saw the invoice, he got it. He went in the bathroom and flushed it down the toilet. He goes, no one's going to know how much I paid for this. And that was the beginning of Fiesta. So he had a store down the fort, a general store, I guess. Groceries, things like that, yeah. And they didn't have anywhere to put the statue, so they kept it in the window down at the store. And then from there, they decided to have a novena, or they'd take a statue out, and all the women would sit around every year and say the novena, and that's how it started to grow. Then they got a backing up against the house, and they started doing a little altar, and from there it just blossomed into what it is today.
And so...
But the Fiesta Committee is separate from the St. Peter's Club.
Right.
But they did house it, so there was people that were on both the Fiesta Committee and the
part of the
and the club. They were on the same committees, but the statue always belonged to the St. Peter's Fiesta Committee, not the club. But we housed it at the St. Peter's Club.
Gotcha. Okay. And so the committee was formed to organize because all these other events become part of Fiesta now. There's the competitive part of it. There's the procession. like the novena, like you said, and so that was it because an organizational thing because the way they
It was just fishermen getting together each year and saying, okay, let's do this now. And the women, I'm sure, were involved with it too. Let's do a more elaborate procession. Let's go up and down the fort instead of just in front of the store. And then they'd go around the fort, and then they branched off onto Washington Street and Rogers Street, and then they got other Saint, like the Lady of Fatima's involved too. But that originally it was just St. Peter, and then they wanted to join in as a community. So that's when because before it was just the Lady of Fatima and St. Peter statue. Now we have other saints that participate, which is wonderful. You get the whole community involved from different regions of Sicily. So
yeah. Yeah, that's great. So, Al, I want to ask you too, how you got involved in the committee, right?
Yep.
What did you know? Did you know anything about it beforehand? Like obviously growing up and being part of Fiesta and joining Fiesta, how'd you get brought into that?
Yeah. So, I mean, growing up, my dad was on the committee as long as I've been born. So the Fiesta has been a part of my life since day one. My grandfather was on the committee. My dad is on the committee. And just kind of getting involved at a young age made me want to contribute more. So when there was the opportunity to join the committee, I told my dad, I want to become involved as soon as possible. So when they added more committee members, it was myself, Dave Levier, and Joe D'Amico that were the three new members. So yeah, I mean, I've always been a part of the procession on Sunday. I'd always go to the mass on Sunday mornings, the intro procession on Friday evening. And then as a kid too, I did the seine boats for about 4 years as a junior. We were junior champs. After that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to switch it up. And I ended up doing the greasy pole. I think this year is going to be like my 14th or 15th year doing that. So growing up, the Fiesta's always been a part of my life. So becoming formally involved in it is one thing that I wanted to do going forward.
Yeah. So, what does it take to become part of the committee? Because those on the outside looking in are like, this might be a family thing. This might be a very Italian thing. Could be a very religious thing. What are the requirements, and how many people are part of the committee?
So in total, we have a maximum of 12 committee members. Anybody can become involved as long as you're interested in becoming involved. And I don't know if you want to go into details about what the process is.
well, the process is basically, I mean, we as a committee, when we decide to put members on, we look at the candidate who has always been in that we've seen around Fiesta, really involved with Fiesta. Um, and then we kind of take those people and ask them if they want to join. Not just them coming up, I want to be on the committee. I want to, we have to see some kind of an interest and sincere interest that will enable Fiesta to continue for years to come. And I think that the core that we have now and what we're going to be putting on, it's the perfect ingredient to continue the Fiesta for the years to come. Because as far as I'm concerned, I want this Fiesta to continue on for my grandkids and their kids, and because it's just an event that each year people that are a part of Fiesta look forward to it to a degree that it's like a holiday. It's, I just feel a warmness of being with my, my friends and my relatives and just being down there. Even the ones that are not here no more, their memory and their presence and their spirit is still there, because I can still see them walking down or sitting in front of the seats eating Samantha and, talking to my aunt, and everybody got dressed up for Fiesta. It was just, I grew up with that, and I want that to continue, because we need that in the world today more than ever than before. So that's why I want it to continue, and that's why we're getting these young guys to get involved that really, really have that Fiesta spirit already in them.
So, like, well, then here's a big question. Then, so what goes into putting the Fiesta on? Like, where do you guys start? Like, when do you start to think about?
So
coming
for the upcoming year, I mean, we start
As soon as Fiesta's done, we take a little bit of a month off to get everything calmed down, because it's been a lot of planning and problems and we're solving this as we go along. But once we get that out of the way, usually at the end of August, beginning of September, we have our first meeting. We'll go through the pros and cons of the prior fiesta that we just had, and then from there we just build on it, and then we start making appointments with music, entertainment for the following year because it takes that long. And then the fundraising part of it is really crucial today because everything's so expensive. So we try to attack as many opportunities as we can because in order to keep this fiesta running, we need to raise funds. It's not like a given. People come down and see Fiesta. It's like, oh, it's backing, but it gets there through the 12 committee members that are involved with making sure that it continues on. Because
Yeah, and I mean, historically, back in the day, the fiesta was run on all of the local fishermen, right? The fleet of Gloucester was significantly larger 20, 30 years
I think it was
ago.
like a buck a boat back when the festival started.
Yeah, exactly. So nowadays, unfortunately, the fishing fleet in Gloucester is diminished quite a bit. So looking for alternative sources of fundraising is essential for the fiesta to run year after year. So we start planning it, like my dad said, a month after the fiesta ends. We take a little break just from all the chaos that in preparation that we had from that year, and then we get back to work starting to plan for the year to come.
Well, so I don't think I've ever asked this question before, but why do you think Fiesta got so popular? Because even as if the fleet was diminishing over time, but the events become bigger and bigger, and it's obviously it's the most beloved event on Cape Ann. I mean, we were talking off camera about, it used to be families would try to get together, Thanksgiving, Christmas, if you had people from out of town or out of state to come home. But it's always Fiesta is what's circled on the calendar, really, is when all these big reunions take place. So has it always just sort of been on this sort of uptick since its inception? Like, or has it always been just such a huge deal here in Gloucester?
well, as far as I can remember, the Fiesta has always been a big event in Gloucester, especially when like my son said, the harbor was full of boats. All the boats tied up for the Fiesta. They all painted their boats with the flags on them, and you'd look at that backdrop where the altar is now in the back. You'd see all the boats lined up from Felicia Oil all the way to the Gloucester House. You could walk from each boat and get to from Felicia to the Gloucester House without even touching the water. And like he said, back then they'd make phone calls or ask the boat owners, hey, we're doing the feast. And everybody would contribute between the boat owners, the fish dealers, and other people that were involved in the fishing industry. That's how the fiesta got paid. And it wasn't even an issue of fundraising then. It was always there. But now, like you said, the diminishing fleet and the expense, everything's so expensive today. And, we have to start thinking really difficult. I mean, easy on how to raise this money. It's not easy.
Yeah, well, so I guess let's talk about those different components of what goes into Fiesta. Like right now, as we're speaking, like the altar construction is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
This stuff needs to be stored and then built and
Cleaned and
cleaned, right? So like, what goes in?
so just to let you know, this past winter, while everybody was home relaxing, watching TV, we've been down the clubhouse maintaining the altar. So the panels, this 16-foot high panels, and we took the panels inside. We have a clubhouse that we store everything in, and the members went down there. Whatever we scheduled the time, we all went down and we started painting each panel one by one just to make it look fresh. And then we noticed that the street decorations,
The garland on the street decoration.
they were kind of faded, and I'm like, because we got the 100th coming up now. So we says, you know what, let's start picking at it now. So we took all the street decorations. Now, if you look at the street decorations, they go from Rogers Street all the way down to Fort. They're all tied to the poles and they're all lit up. So we took those. I don't know how many there were. I think there was like 32 of them or something. They're massive. They stretch from pole to pole, which is like, what, 30 feet long?
Yeah, they're good sized.
We got to take the old one off, put the new one on. But now this year, you'll notice them when you go down there. They're going to be really bright. And
Yeah, those are two big things people just take for granted. I'll say the altar's being built. This is great. And you don't even think
they don't think about
stuff going.
where it's stored, what's involved in maintaining it. We got trailers for the procession that need to be maintained. I mean, It just goes on. And it evolved like that because it was more simpler back in the day when they first started the feast. Where, like I said, they just do it in the neighborhood, nail something up to a house, and do the novena, and that's a really important part of the fiesta. The novena, which is the backbone of why we do this. If you look at the way they conduct those novenas, it's thanking Saint Peter for everything that we've achieved from the ocean in this small town of Gloucester, and we show our appreciation and our respect for that by doing that.
And I think going back to your original question, it's progressively gotten bigger and more popular because the city of Gloucester had a large fleet back in the day. And as years went on, nowadays everyone has some sort of tie to a prior fisherman in Gloucester, right? So they want to celebrate their heritage, they want to celebrate their culture. And between the Italian community, the Portuguese community, it's progressively gotten bigger in the city of Gloucester. And I know for me personally, I want to celebrate my culture and my heritage, which is why I wanted to get involved in the fiesta. And I think there's a lot of people in the same boat as me wanting to do the same, celebrating their family, their culture, their heritage. So I think with those aspects of the fiesta, that's why it's essentially gotten as big as it's gotten today. And not only that, but we have our sporting events. You have the greasy pole, so many people involved in Gloucester participate in the greasy pole, the seine boats. And what's awesome about it is a couple months before the fiesta happens, you get that sense of excitement. Like,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
all right,
baby.
you get the Viva Fiva. Exactly. For the greasy pole, for the seine boats, for the novena, for the procession.
Yeah.
My favorite day of fiesta is Sunday because, I get to go to the mass with my family. I get to walk in the parade for my mother's patron saint. Things like that hold a lot of value to me.
Yeah, that was our biggest thing as a family growing up too. Was always getting together at grandparents' house. Either off Granite Street or Hovey Street and all that. We would do that, and then you walk down to the parade. The parade was the biggest part of Fiesta for us. You're seeing everybody. You're showing your devotion, paying your respects, but it's also you're doing this with the entire community that was just stretched for miles. And I don't know, it was just such a huge part of growing up.
For sure.
The other thing people don't realize when you look at the way the feast is set up, if you go to in Sicily, you go to the small countries in Sicily when they have their feast, that's where it came from. If you have you ever had the opportunity to go to Sicily?
Yeah,
If you go there and then you see how they do it there, and you see like it came from there, they brought their memories of their feast here. They wanted it here because there was so many immigrants here from the same town, and they said and that's why it's so unique.
No, is your family from? Is it?
My parents are right outside of Palermo, Terracini.
Okay, yeah.
And my wife comes from a small town which is about 10, 15 minutes from Terracini, which is Trapezo. And then there's other nearby towns too that, Porticello, there's Shaka, there's, what else do we have involved there?
Well, in each of these communities, do they? I mean,
They have their own feast every year for their own patron saint.
different patron saints, right?
They all have their own patron
Which
saint.
is now involved
And
in
they're
the procession, right?
Yeah, we have them involved there. They're part of it too now. They got their saint from their hometown. Let's go. Because we have the Lady of Fatima, we got St. Peter, we got Madonna Annunziata, we got the Mother of Grace, we've got Madonna del Lume. Who else is there?
Is Soccorso still?
No, well, but for the past couple of years, they've had issues with everybody's getting older, but that statue was around too. I'm thinking someone's going to say, why didn't you say that one? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. So all of those different towns have their own celebrations, but we've brought in a little bit of each of those traditions to the St. Peter's Fiesta. And I remember growing up when I go on vacation to Sicily and we'd go to Trapito and I see a greasy pole. They do it slightly different. They have the pole off of the rocks and it's slightly elevated. It's thinner, it's shorter, but I remember the first time seeing it as a kid, I'm like, they get the greasy pole here too. And everyone's like, this is where it came from. You guys got it from here. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, let's talk about other things that the committee is always working on too, right? So you have to months and months in advance. It's all the entertainment that happens, right? There's musical entertainment at the altar. There's the carnival aspect as well too. So you're booking that out ages in advance, right?
Well, we usually have a contract like with the fiesta shows that we have. That's you have to get committed. We can't not take a chance with not having the enter. That's the not important part, but it's part of it today.
Integral part, yeah.
To draw people in. And yeah, we have to have everything covered for that. So we go contract like a 3 or 4 or 5 year contract with them.
Okay.
And there's not that many other people that you can contract with. There's not many fiesta shows or carnivals around like there was years ago. It's a very, very hard business because, in the wintertime, what do? You got to go down south. You got to go where you can make money because you got, some of those rides are $3-4 million each. It's how do you can't just put them in a storage.
Right.
You got to have them working for you.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so in regards to the entertainment, we start planning and reaching out to the musical entertainment in the winter, and I think for Wednesday we don't have a multi-year contract, so we try to think, all right, we had a performer last year, we think they're good, let's reach back out to them. Sometimes they always can't do the following year, so we look for alternative options, and there's a lot of planning and preparation that goes into that for sure.
And then how involved is so people have asked me this over the years too. Is the Catholic Church involved in any way
And
in the organization of the event? This is literally just like the local Fiesta committee, and that's sort of
right, well, the local pastor is part of the fiesta committee, not a voting end of it, but he's part of it when we need any consultation with whether getting the bishop or getting the cardinal or whatever we need. He's right there for us, Father Jim. So we do the mass, the outdoor mass. They do it for the outdoor mass for us. They do the mass at the novena for us. So we work
That's
in. Yeah,
great, and
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
how involved is the city of Gloucester? Like you have to deal with police detail and fire and the Coast Guard. So what does that entail?
Yeah.
So we got to get all of the permitting for the event nowadays, whereas back in the day, it was a lot smaller. Nowadays, we have to go to City Hall. We have to get the permitting, the insurance. We have to reach out to the local police department and have them involved in the feast as well. The harbor master for the sporting events.
I mean, we've done it for so many years, and it's like automatic for them now. They know what's coming up. So, but over the years, they've of course had to increase whether it's security or whether it's coordination, or so now they're all in communication with it, and we know if we got a lot of people crossing the street, they got detail down there for us, and
Yeah, I'm just trying to make people realize how many different facets
Oh, yeah.
there are.
yeah, there is.
Organized and what has to go on here to get into this. Even just having the roads closed for the parade and the procession.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Um,
and they've worked well with us. I mean, it's just we're blessed to have a community that works so well with us too. I mean, a lot of people do like Fiesta. They love Fiesta. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to continue that and work together and have a beautiful event for the city. All the businesses prosper from the Fiesta, and you probably try to get a hotel room a year before. You're going to say, I'm sorry, because everybody books up. So it's a big economic impact for the city as well, which people don't understand.
Yeah.
In addition to it to be in a community that we all get together and hang out, and it's all free. You don't pay anything to go down and enjoy the feast or watch the events. That's the other beauty about it.
absolutely. Are there things that you want the public to know about the work that you guys are doing, or what it takes to put this event on that maybe they just don't know? They don't know the effort that goes into it, or
I mean, I've been on the committee for 3 years, and before I was on the committee, I had my own vision of, oh, it probably doesn't take too much to get this feast up and running. But being involved with the committee for the past 3 years, it's really opened my eyes to all the planning and preparation that goes into it. You know, whether it's just the pins that we
Yeah.
give out every year. There's a we put a lot of time and focus in. All right, what do we want for the backdrop? What's the design? Do we want it circle, oval? What are the colors for
The
the
ribbons.
ribbons? You know, there's just even those little things. There's a lot of time and preparation that goes into that. And then with the music, the entertainment, the carnival, the sporting events, we're, we're starting.
And it's multi-days.
It's multiple days, exactly. So
When I got on the committee, it was 3 days. Now it's 5 days. And one year, because it rained for the whole, we extended it into
Fiesta Monday.
Monday and Tuesday. And it was just all the local people, which was kind of unique.
Well, as we were saying off camera too, was the if one thing came out of COVID that was all right, it was how everybody acted after at that first fiesta.
Yep.
Free fiesta's coming back was like it felt like a reunion from your next door neighbor. They hadn't seen in a while. I could spend time with, and we lost loved ones in the meantime, and then the newbies were born, and,
Yep.
and it was just like that was a special one. And that's you hear a lot of the old timers say that felt more like what they were used to growing up. That I don't know if it's just a sense of community or just things were like pared down a bit, but that was a special one.
Yeah, you don't realize how much you miss it until you don't have it, right? And that was one thing for me too. That first year back, it was like, wow, I really missed this. I really missed getting together with the community, friends, family, and just being with one another. So it for sure
And
was
riding
fun.
down to the square and looking at that empty square with no lights and altar and everything. It was even us as a committee when we said, okay, actually the first year we got the green light. It was too late for us to put that feast on that year. So we had to wait for the following year.
Oh wow.
The state had said, okay, they lifted some of the sanctions. I think it was like late May, no, it was like late May.
Yeah, right.
And then they said, okay, you guys want to do it? I'm like, we can't do it now. There's no way. We don't have anything planned or organized. We couldn't book any entertainment because we didn't know if it was going to happen that year. So then we waited for the next year. And even us as a committee, when we were planning that first one after COVID, we were all nervous again. I'm like, okay, what do we do? We were being cautious ourselves as to what we have never gone through a pandemic like that for Fiesta. Do we have to put the chairs 6 feet apart? It was all new to us too, but fortunately enough, it went away and now we're back to normal. So
Yeah. So, okay. So now let's just say Fiesta's going on. What are committee members and volunteers doing during the event to help make things go?
So that's a great question. So for the committee members, we always have someone dedicated down at the altar because we have the pins, so we want to make sure that we're giving out the pins to anyone that is looking for them. We also have the 50-50 raffle, so we have the tables lined up in front of the altar. So we want to ensure that we always have committee members at those tables for the public, for the community, if they wanted a pin or if they want to contribute to the 50-50. For the Sunday parade, we have someone in the front of the parade, someone in the back of the parade, and we have a few members throughout the parade just to make sure that it's flowing as smoothly as possible.
everybody's lined up in their right position and just to make sure that everything's running smooth. Because you got to insert these people when they show up. They're just, where do I go? Okay, you're right after this one. And they get in line. And once the parade starts moving, it runs pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, we try to expedite it as quickly as possible because it gets hot on Sunday. And we got little kids on the floats that, these poor kids are baking in that. So we try, usually, we got to figure we start at noontime and we're usually done around 2:15, 2:30 when we're back at the Roger Street side of the St. Peter's Club. So it's a 2.5 hour walk around town. So,
But yeah, so we also have informal subcommittees, right? So we have certain committee members that are dedicated to certain aspects of the fiesta. So for me personally, I'm involved with the greasy pole. We have some members involved with the kids games. I know Dave started the floor hockey event. We have a soccer event.
Right.
We have the kids contests. And Joe Palmisano he volunteers his time to keeping those running, which is fantastic. And that's one of the things we want to try to get the younger generations involved more. But um, yeah, so we have certain committee members that are dedicated to certain aspects of the fiesta. So we're all on, different subcommittees, and we put preparation time for that along with once the feast is here, you know, being involved with those as well.
Mm-hmm. And we should probably interject at some point too and just say, if people are watching this and want to help in some way, how can they go about doing that? Where can they learn more?
So, I mean, if they're interested in getting involved, the volunteers, we're always looking for more volunteers because we have so many different things going on in a span of 3 to 5 days. And there's so many people in the community that are already involved in them. If they want to volunteer a little more time, they just come to the committee and say, "Hey, how can we help with this particular part of the event?" And
Where are they going to find you is what I'm saying.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, so now that we have social media, so if they're interested in reaching out prior to the event itself, they can reach out to us via Facebook, Instagram.
Okay. How about the St. Peter's Fiesta.org, the website too?
Yep,
Let's
exactly. Yeah, so they can communicate with us directly through the website or through our social media. And if they're interested in doing it while the event's running, we always have committee members out front of the altar. So if they're interested, they can just reach out to us
Okay.
there.
Good to know. Um,
What, you think and enjoy it?
so no, it's funny. We were talking about just the planning because Andrew and I, we've been planning the broadcast since last year. Like we were taking notes during the broadcast, like this is what we have to change for next year. Well, let's give it a month or two to cool down. I don't think we can give it a month or two to cool down anymore. Like it's just getting bigger and bigger. And even Al just like figuring out this string of interviews and all that was like we started talking about this months ago. So yeah, we're out and about. It's my thing has always been just giving to someone direction on where to go to. Like one thing I always expect is as soon as I'm in St. Peter's Park, there should just be a St. Peter's Fiesta, a booth, the biggest booth should be right there, and that's where anything from merch to the pins or whatever could be. It's like the information center
Yep,
is sort
yep,
of right there because, I mean, that's the gathering point. You're always going to do those eats and fried dough and walk around with a stroller and bump into it. Like that's where you're going to be
for
for
sure.
most of it,
Absolutely.
and you scramble to the beach for the events and all that. But the thing, what's amazing about the Fiesta is like it's a sprawling event. Like it's multi-days and it sprawls all throughout downtown Gloucester and the beaches, which aren't easy to govern,
Yeah,
or
for sure.
to keep clean. But there's people out there doing it.
Yeah.
I watched the 2025 seniors. I think they were at the high school this year. Somebody put a video, and all of a sudden they just started chanting "Magi Samudute Mude." I'm like, oh my! And then he told me, he says that's been going on for a while. That the high school does it sort of like a tradition now.
Yeah,
Yep, yep.
yeah,
That was very touching.
yeah. It was really cool. What else do I want to get you guys about? I guess balancing as the event grows bigger, right? Balancing safety and tradition. There are like the fiesta as it is not going to change, right? Everything from the novena to the sporting events and competitions, the benediction, like those are all the staple things. Al, have there been events that have been added or removed over the years, or has that sort of always sort of been essentially what we're used to seeing?
I mean, no, we have been open to different ideas. For example, the road race.
Oh, right.
Okay, we have that. We've done sporting events for the little kids. We've got them. We had soccer tournaments, which is and now the hockey one up there at Sage Fort it's crazy. People love doing that, and they get to go up on the stage and get their trophy after. It's like being part of it. I mean, a different aspect of it. What else have we done different? Um,
It's a lot.
it's
Yeah. Um, I guess as we talk about all these other events that aren't necessarily religious in nature, right? And the Fiesta at its root is a religious celebration.
Mm.
So how do you keep the focus on the religious aspects of Fiesta?
So obviously the novena, they do the novena in advance of the feast itself. So that's one of the most important parts of the religious aspect. And then with the Sunday procession, the mass, I feel like Sunday has a lot of religious aspects to it, but I don't know. Do you have any commentary on that? That's
The religious aspect of it, and I've always said this, when I was up on the stage all those years, I used to look out in the audience and I used to see the older Italian women sitting out there and praying. Now I look out and I don't see them because they're all gone, but I see their grandkids up there. And I mean, they're not going to know exactly what those grandparents went through, but they've got a basis of it, and they're trying to build on that. That's why you go up to the novena and you see the younger kids involved. It's like, this is great. This is going to, because they have it already instilled in them and they're going to continue to do it. And that's what we want. That's what you want about the religious aspect of it. Everybody gets dressed up in white on Sunday and, they pray the whole rosary. I mean, it's, you have to have it in you. I can't explain it. It's not like,
Yeah.
okay, you're going to be on the novena committee. It's not a thing like that. It's in you. You
kind of
pray.
happens organically, I'd say, from generation to generation.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because we spoke to some of the novena ladies, right? And they sort of touched upon the same thing, how excited they are that younger people are in there and we have to kind of keep this tradition going. And then you hear the younger people say the same thing, like almost mimicking what you're saying, like, this is how I got involved. This is it. It means more to me now. I maybe didn't realize how much it meant to me or the different ways it was touching me growing up. And now you just want to get more involved and help push, the whole celebration forward.
For sure.
Pretty interesting. Uh, I guess maybe we can talk about how um, families are involved. We talked about the reunion aspect. There's always everyone ties in the food and the cookouts, along with the whole fiesta, the duration of fiesta that's going on, or even getting together to do the floats for the parade. So you just want to talk about different ways, like entire families have sort of had their hands in the fiesta over the years with the different things that they've done as a family.
Hmm.
Tough one.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there's so many families in Gloucester that are involved in the fiesta in one way, shape, or form. I know for this year, there's one of the floats that we have. It's multiple families that they're all very close to one another, and they decided, hey, let's all group together and have a float for the parade on Sunday. And it's a lot of younger generation kids and people my age, which when they reached out to me, it kind of hit home a little bit because I'm like, I loved the fact that these younger generations wanted to get involved with the floats for the parade. And the reason why they wanted to do it is because them growing up, their parents and their families were setting up these floats for them. So now they want to start contributing for their kids and their younger family members. So I love seeing that type of stuff, the younger generations getting involved in doing the same stuff so that their kids and can enjoy it the same way that we did growing
Yeah,
up.
and
You say about families getting involved. If you look at a very important part of it, when they carry the oars.
I was literally just going to ask you that.
When they carry the oars, when you're holding that oar, that was your grandfather's boat that they're holding the oar for. And these young kids are like, this was my grandfather's boat.
Want to explain for maybe people from outside the area what exactly you're talking about? The yours.
Okay, so years ago, the Italian families or Portuguese families, whatever, they had boats, and each boat had a unique name to it, whether it was a St. Joseph, whether it was a Mother, I mean, there was all different names. And we started painting the names of the the name of the boats on the oars, the same colors as the boat used to be too. And each family could have their own oar representing their family history on the fishing vessels. And if you look at that parade of oars, there's quite a few oars over the years. You're talking 60, 70, 80 years of fishing families. And a lot of them now, they're all the generations gone now, but the grandkids are still looking for their they keep them home during the year too. So once they see it, they say, we're going to put in the parade and honor grandpa or God, honor the uncle or whatever. But that that's a beautiful thing to see.
That's awesome.
Because I look at the name on the oars and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that boat. And oh, yeah, I remember that boat down at, Felicia Oil or wherever it was in town because it was nice. It really is.
Well, so how do you think Fiesta stays relevant with that younger generation? Is it they getting involved early because like the demographics kind of skewing older around here? I mean, Gloucester's getting pretty pricey. We've heard like a lot of families like we know where the kids can get priced out and can't afford to buy a home here. It gets kind of tricky, right? But you also are seeing a lot of younger people getting involved in all aspects of Fiesta now too, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, some people aren't living in Gloucester anymore, but when the Fiesta comes to town, I feel like those younger generations go out of their way to make sure that they're here during that time frame. So I just feel like the Fiesta itself is super unique, whether it's the feast, the sporting events. People want to be involved with that, so they kind of go above and beyond to make sure that they're here to celebrate that in person.
So, how about do you? Well, I think you've probably answered this several times already, but do you feel like the event is really sort of from the people of Gloucester for the people of Gloucester, or now that it's it keeps growing into almost more of like a regional thing now? I mean, our coverage goes international.
Yeah.
Now we get people from Italy to California to Australia all chiming in, like, and it's not the first time they've seen it either,
Mhm.
where they know about it. So, um, do you still feel like at its core, this is really sort of an hour thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was originally created for the local fishermen of Gloucester. I think it's still focused for the city of Gloucester, but now we're expanding significantly. So anyone that wants to become a part of the culture and the heritage, they have the opportunity to witness some of these events from anywhere now, right? But I think at its core, we're looking to bring the community together, the city of Gloucester together, and just celebrate our heritage and our culture for sure.
Yeah, I mean, 400 years plus. It's pretty amazing, right? And more than 10,000 fishermen lost too, and that's not lost on any of us as well.
Mhm.
Especially something else extra to think about this time of year too.
Yeah.
Um, what would you like to see happen with Fiesta moving forward? Like you've talked about, your kids, the grandkids. What do you want Fiesta to be to them? Have you ever thought about the future of Fiesta and just
I mean, we're going to have to change with the times, but to keep it as traditional and as original as possible is the the objective here. You don't want to. I mean, it'd be easy to commercialize it and change the whole dynamics of it. Which now, what do you got? You just got a regular carnival or something. That's not what this is.
Mhm.
You want to keep the religious aspect of it alive. You want to keep the traditions and the heritage. I mean, we want to mainly focus on why it was originally put together, right? We want to celebrate and pray for the fishermen and the Italian community, the Portuguese community, all of the communities of Gloucester, and we want to keep that aspect of it for years to come. And I think in order to do that, you just need to continue to remind the people of Gloucester why this came about, right? And the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, what's funny? It's like it's when you talk to people who aren't tied to a fishing family, or not Italian, maybe not Portuguese,
Yeah.
not Nova Scotian, but people from Gloucester or from maybe coming the outside and came in and have grown to love Gloucester and what it stands for, the way they speak of Fiesta and what it means to them too. It's just become so much more
It-
than than how it began in 1927.
Exactly. And I just feel like it's a community gathering. It's just bringing everyone together to not only celebrate the fishermen and St. Peter, but it's just to celebrate
Being a
us.
family.
Yeah. It's the family aspect.
Everybody's a cousin. You go down the street there during Fiesta and say, "Hey, cousin, how are you?" Hey, everybody's, hugging and how you been seeing. That's you don't get that anywhere else. That's real.
Yeah.
That's not artificial. That's
what's unique with his cousin here. It's kind of scary. Is that?
we won't get into that point.
Well, I want to thank you both so much for spending some time with us. If you had anything else you wanted to share with folks too, because I want to reiterate once again, just if folks want to get involved and help out,
Absolutely.
today, whether you're an individual, a family, a business, whatever it is, just to help keep this event going and prospering and flourishing. So we're saying the easiest way is there's St. Peter's Fiesta.org, the website. They're also all over social media too. St. Peter's Fiesta Inc. on Facebook is what most of you would find them at, and just leave them a message there. They're very responsive and can help out in any way. And like both Als have said, you can literally go to a committee member in front of the altar at any point during Fiesta 2, and they're not going to turn you down if you're looking to help.
Yeah, so. I mean, in any way, shape, or form, if you're looking to help and get involved, please reach out because we'd love to have you.
Yeah, and I also want to say one of my favorite things about Fiesta has really become the Sunday night procession of the statue back to the club. It's awesome. Like everyone's working and grinding through that whole weekend too, and partying and having fun and all that.
And it's like, I got to go to work tomorrow, but I got to do this.
But to even witness that is so cool, and I hope people stick around if they can, stay up late for that, and just the singing and chanting in front of the club as a statue's return is really a special moment too. So I can't wait. I really appreciate you spending time with us, sharing these stories, and the work that you and all the community members and volunteers and families are doing to make Fiesta really what it is.
Yeah, and thank you for taking the time to put this together too. We do appreciate it.
I loved it. So my one last question is, and I've asked everybody else this, is why is it Fiesta and not Festa, do you think? So I can tell you what everyone else like most of.
We've tried to look at that, and I think they meant to say Festa, but when they started printing the first information or whatever they started printing, they spelt it Fiesta. And once it stuck, it got stuck.
Yeah.
For us to change it because the Fiesta is more of a Spanish written. Festa is F-E-S-T-A.
Yeah,
that's in the Sicilian, the way because even when I go to Sicily and I tell my cousin, yeah, we had the Festa. Why you guys say Fiesta for? It's Festa. I'm like, don't go down there, please. It's something we've thought about changing, but
it's one of the many mysteries of the world.
Yeah, it was like, I just think we had to compromise with the Matagonis. We think something happened somewhere along the way where Festa became Fiesta. Yeah, we get asked as soon as we go on air. It's always folks from Italy. Like, hey, it's supposed to be Festa. Like, we know.
Yeah, well.
All right, guys, thanks for your time.
All right.
Buona Fiesta. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Buona Fiesta to too, and I hope everyone has a safe, enjoyable, lovely Fiesta. Buona Fiesta.